Here we go. We are live. Go ahead and say a little chit chat. You say something?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I just want to make sure that everything's working.
I think we're good. I can see the phone bridge is picking us up.
Yeah, no, this is perfect. Excellent. So good deal. It's like it's my first time doing this. This is fun. Well, actually, it is our first time. So, hey, everybody that is calling in or tuning in here on at publicinput.com/publicinput live. Welcome. This is episode 1 of an adventure we're going to be going on talking about the public engagement process. We decided to start sharing some of the best practices that we see with folks using the public engagement platform. Like right now, we probably have something like, I don't know, 1,000 projects, maybe 800 projects on our platform in some phase of that engagement effort. And we've got tons of consultants and agencies licensing our platform, and we're continuously helping them learn new lessons and learn how to overcome obstacles and challenges in the public engagement process. So what we're going to do here during all of these sessions, we're going to be coming to you live every Friday at 1 o'clock. So I hope you'll continue to tune in. And we'll be talking about best practices in general, and then how you can, we'll be actually doing some demonstration on how you can actually do some of that within public input. So it's kind of like a 2-step process. Come here to just learn general stuff, and then also learn a little bit about how the public input platform can help. So this is great for folks that have used the public input platform and are looking to just get some tips and tricks, and also great for folks that haven't used the platform, and we'll be going over that together. So before we get in too deep, let's go ahead and do a quick introductions, and I'll hand it over to Sophie to introduce herself.
Yeah, hey everyone, I'm Sophie Bitar. I'm a solutions architect here at Public Input, which just means that I work with the sales team and with prospective customers to help map different solutions of our platform to specific needs. And Murphy, what do you do here?
Thanks. Sometimes I don't know. So partnerships director, and kind of a fancy name for help consultants. So there's basically 2 main users on our platform. That's agents, folks that work for government agencies that are trying to deploy public engagement efforts and communications on their own. And there's also the consultants that serve those agencies. Maybe someone that want a parks plan, and they have to go out and do some engagement for that effort, and they'll leverage the public input platform on behalf of the agency to execute that project. So I help either consultants bring that project or bring the public input platform to it, or if an agency has invited a consultant to use the platform on their behalf, we also help them make sure that those engagements are successful as well. So yeah, that's kind of my role here. And so I've seen a lot of consultants and have a lot of consultant relationships, and through that we've learned a lot of lessons here we'll be sharing during this effort. So I do want to talk about what we're looking at here. This whole experience that you're seeing here, this is the public input, what we call public input public meetings platform. You can do virtual meetings and hybrid meetings. This can be open and accessible. As you can see, like if you have access to internet, you can join this meeting without having to download any software, or maybe having to have like a certain type of account or something like that. Other meeting platforms would require you to maybe download something to participate, and public input makes that a little bit easier. Our goal is to lower the barrier to entry to allow folks to participate freely. Of course, if you're having kind of a public meeting that's formal and you require sign in and all that, our platform does support kind of that barrier to entry to say like, hey, you have to tell me who you are before you hop into this meeting. We can support that as well. So if you want to learn more about this, kind of stay tuned or reach out to us. You can do that. At the end of this meeting, I'm going to go ahead and put both my and Sophie's contact information in the chat. And you can go ahead and use that to get a hold of us, but our contacts are really easy, and we'll go over that at the end of our presentation here today. So the content for today is based on kind of our principles, and actually I'm going to ask Sophie to kind of go over what our core principles are on the public engagement process that we're going to be walking through over the next several episodes of Public Input Live.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're strong proponents of improving the entire public engagement process. And we kind of see that overall as a four-step process. So first, we want to be able to reach and make information available for folks. With that, the second thing we want to do is engage those folks. So have that the information we're making available, we need it to be engaging content so that folks will want to participate in that. Then once we do get some engagement and some participation back, we want to be able to analyze that so that we can best inform our decision-making process. And then lastly, we also want to be able to follow up with our residents in our community, maybe just offering some, additional opportunities to engage, or, maybe offering some kind of like message for clarification if there's concerns, or just kind of answering questions.
100%. I love that. And so what we're going to be doing, this is the first episode of what's going to be a 4-part series where we're going to be talking about reach. And when it comes to reach, so like put yourself in the situation of you just won a project. Like, so for example, let's say you were pursuing a master plan and you're a consultant that's going to be, you just won this project. One of the first things that you need to do, or even if you're an agency that is about to embark on a master plan effort, is to reach the public so that you can inform them about what's going on. So that reach and inform are kind of like a two kind of in the same layer. What we're going to be going over here today is how you can post information out in the public using the public input platform, in particular, building a project page, but then also being mindful that our community may or may not have, may have language needs. You may have folks that prefer to consume their content in an alternative language. And if we're mindful of that, we can actually create really nice experiences for them, which does help us reach the community, especially those diverse community members. So with that in mind, we're going to be going over those two main topics today. And we will be demonstrating a little bit of our platform and how you can actually build out a project page on the public input platform, and also do some of that language translation. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen here. Perfect. Okay. So let's get started. We're going to build out a project page. So first thing we're going to do is head up here to create new item and select a new project. And then this is going to bring up some of our project settings. So we can select our department if we've got multiple departments on one account. We can also rename this. I'll just kind of do something easy from my drop down here. And then we can select the level of anonymity that we want to grant our participants. So we have a couple of different options that we offer on a spectrum of fully anonymous, where they'll be assigned a random ID, all the way to gated, which requires them to just provide some contact info in order to access the page. And the reason we offer different options for this is to accommodate the different engagement efforts you'll likely create with our platform. So for example, if we want to engage our community on a sensitive issue or a conversation like race relations, we'll definitely want to allow our participants full anonymity so that they can feel free to speak up without the possibility of their name being attached to it, especially if they've interacted with other engagements before. On the other hand, if we want to engage with specific groups like a neighborhood watch group, we may want to keep participation confined so we can ensure that what we get is from that specific community.
I'm glad you covered this, Sophie. I want to hop in real quick. And one thing about this that I think is really important is when you're choosing a platform to do your engagement, be mindful that if the platform you choose requires sign-in, my light shade just fell down. Sophie, that's so funny. So if you do require a sign-in, the downside is some folks are just going to kind of bounce out right away. They're not going to give you an email or an address or their name because they don't want to be associated with the information they're about to provide you, because maybe they don't feel very comfortable providing it. So be mindful of that as you're picking your platform. Ours, because we've been doing this for so long, we do have the spectrum that you can kind of pick which is right for that effort. But some platforms are very discreet. You have to create a profile to provide information, and that's really going to limit your engagement.
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on to this next question right here, we can select the format. Most projects are going to be set up as your typical content plus questions format, where you'll have some information about the project and then the question set afterwards. But you can also set it up as a question series, so you can ask questions one by one in sort of a note card fashion. And then tags are an interesting way to organize and group your projects. But project location is actually super cool. So what you can do with this is, let's say we're in Nashville here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can get kind of a good, and I'm going to draw a shape on here. So maybe I want to pin all of the projects that are going on in sort of this little triangular boundary that I've put right here. And when we do that, it's just really easy so that, our residents can navigate to, when they navigate to our engagement hub, they can just pull up a map view and can just take a look and see if they've got anything going on in their backyard.
Yeah, that's great. And actually, I don't know if we have it drawn up, but maybe at the end of our session here, before we sign off, we can actually show in practice how maybe we can go to one of our clients' project portals or engagement portals, so we can actually show what that map looks like and why it's really important to kind of, hey, where's this project going to be impacting, and they can draw a little area on the map to be able to show that. It actually makes it easier for the public to find the projects that are important to them, especially if that community has a lot of projects and things going on. It can be an easy way to get attention on a project.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last step there would just be to create our project. I've actually went ahead and created a project for us here. So this is the page we'll see after we hit create our project. So we're gonna set up our project page. And what I really want to emphasize with this is that what you see is what you get here. So it's just going to be super easy to jazz this up. And one thing I'll point out here is that we're 100% in draft mode. So we can build things out, we can add some graphics and preview it by viewing the live site. And then when we're ready to go live, when we've got everything set up, we can do so just by clicking our live button here. So we'll scroll down and we'll start setting up our project page. We can upload some graphics and banners to this. And this is just going to be your typical, kind of file uploader where you can drag and drop a file or upload it from somewhere on your computer. I went ahead and I uploaded a couple of pretty images of flowers here. And then down here in this project description, we can add some information about the project. So, what do we want the public to know about this? And if we're including a survey in this, we'll definitely want to have some instructions for how to complete that. And in terms of best practices, we want to use this space to establish, who are we? Who as the agency are we? What are we trying to accomplish with this engagement effort? And what are we asking you, our community, to do on this page?
I love that. That's a good reminder. Like, be real clear and concise in your communication on these sort of things. Like the fact that you have a project page out there, sometimes I think people turn on their marketing brain and they really want to have like flashy pages with all these graphics and stuff. But actually, if we're just trying to convey some information, sometimes simple is best. And especially when it comes to accessibility, screen readers, ADA compliance. So kind of keep it clean and concise and get those messages in a real clear way. And I think you sum that up nicely, Sophie.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'll show with this too, I'm going to go ahead and just add some text here. This little editor bar right here is what you're used to seeing in like Microsoft Word. So really simple to use. Let's go ahead and highlight this with a pretty color to match our flowers. We'll do yellow. And we'll go ahead and save the description changes. And then I'm going to do a preview of the live site here just to show that it's going to reflect automatically. So, no need to have to reformat this or, bring additional help in here. And actually, it's translated it to Spanish. There we go. Back to you.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, this is good. I think let's hop over back to that other page real quick. I want to kind of show a little bit about what we're looking at here. This is essentially where you're going to be doing all of your building. And we're trying to just convey that on the Public Input platform, you can create project pages very, very simply. And it is easy to build a web page with Public Input. Some other platforms you may be familiar with, like Wix or they're made for building websites. And that's great. And sometimes they can even be have some user-friendly characteristics of it. The idea is that if you use something like that, you may have to use multiple tools to actually do all the different pieces that you need during your engagement process. For example, like following up, comment response, surveys, different things like this, subscribe features. Our platform is going to have that all in there, and it has a very efficient page builder to allow you to build out these project pages relatively simply. And anything that you do create in public input, you can easily copy to another engagement effort as well, which means it just adds efficiency. If you're doing similar projects, you can take the work that you've done and bring it into another one and use what you've done as a template for your next effort. Adds a ton of efficiency to some of the things you're doing there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like as you can tell, we've been in the platform for less than 15 minutes, maybe even less than 10 minutes, and we were able to just get a really good framework of this project page established. And like you mentioned, Murphy, like sure, there's a couple other things we're going to want to add to this. We're definitely going to want to have like a call to action. Maybe that's our survey, or maybe that's kind of like a sign up form. And we can get really creative with that, and we'll actually cover that in the next session too. But yeah, it's just really, really easy way to do this, and no need to, have to call a web designer or need coding skills.
Yeah, and if you do have, that's a good point. And if you do have that bench strength on your team, our platform does have open CSS or HTML coding, so you can actually build out some special stuff if you'd like to. So you can get as jazzy as you want, but the goal really is to make this easy and accessible for folks that maybe don't have that deep skill in web design or something like this. And you can constantly just keep building until you get what you like, and then you can post it publicly by changing it from draft mode to publish mode. And we just built something really quick. Are we going to show a couple examples to maybe what some of our other clients have done?
Yeah. Are you seeing Rancho Cucamongo's workshop?
Perfect. Yeah, this is excellent. Yeah, this one was done a couple of years ago. Can I talk through this one?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So you can see here that, this is built on public input. They started by building a page that has a couple tabs on the top. You see they have a lot of different kind of topics, and it looks like they may be like sections of the community where there may be like a specific survey about that section of the community. But what they started with here is just painting the picture of what we're doing. This was a general plan. It actually says that there. And so then this gentleman in this video actually starts telling them what the general plan is. And I love a video. A couple different reasons. One, it's a great way to convey information that may be easy to accept. Like a lot of people maybe don't like reading books, but they may listen to podcasts, they may do a lot of YouTubing, or maybe they enjoy consuming their information in a video format. So again, you can load that sort of stuff up into public input so you can share information that way as well. Documents, we've got a widget that has a timeline in it if you wanted to show a project timeline, tons of things. But as we kind of scroll down on this page, you can see they're talking about the different sections of the project and really sharing what they're trying to do with this general plan and why they need the public's engagement and communications on this effort. And then down towards a little bit, there you go. In this section here, I love it. They started asking questions. Tell us a little bit about you. This is the part of, if you're using a platform that's a little bit more disjointed, this is the part where you send them to a SurveyMonkey website, right? You kick them off this page to go participate somewhere else. A couple different things are not great about that. Is creating data silos. I think there's some things when it comes to multilingual options that we can cover as well. Text to participate or survey by text message, we can support that. And actually, we'll get into that in one of our sessions here coming up, but we won't be talking about that here today. But there's a lot of neat tools when you're using an integrated platform that a lot of folks haven't had an opportunity to take advantage of yet. And you can see here that Rancho Cucamongo did a great job in both sharing information, but then also capturing engagement right away.
Yeah, and I'll navigate over. So actually what I'm showing here is they took that exact same page that they built out in English and they just duplicated it and duplicated it into Spanish. And so they set up an alternate link for this. And that's something that we call last mile language translation in our system, which is super easy to set up. So when you create custom links for this page, you can set a language. Google Translate will pick it up and translate the entire page So now you've got about 95% of it translated. But of course, we know that that doesn't always get you all the way there. So what you can actually do is tweak that translation and make edits if you see, that a word that's, been misinterpreted, or a phrase that just needs to read a bit more colloquial. So I'll pull up our little, our translation editor here.
That's great. Can you click, close the Google Translate thing at the top of the page there? I think that'll, yeah, perfect. I just wanted people to know that what they're looking at is actually a translated version of this page. We're not using Google Translate to actively translate this. And then what Sophie's showing you here right now is really powerful. So I'll let you get into that.
Yeah, so like maybe for example, this header right here, we see that a word isn't reading correctly, or it's just been misinterpreted. We can click directly on that word, enter a translation in here really quick and just kind of edit it, and then save it. And we're making these edits directly on the page as it's going to read from the residence view. So super simple. Yeah.
So, and then the translator link, I think, is also pretty powerful, which is just, so Sophie just clicked that. The idea is that if, let's say, you don't have someone on your team that can do translation into multiple languages, you could get this link and shoot that link out to a translator that's willing to edit that project page with the translation to make sure that it is, I guess, almost at a conversational language. It's easily comprehended. Sometimes when you're using terminology, it doesn't translate correctly. Like the literal translation that Google gives you isn't enough. And so what you can do is go ahead and do this, then kick that link over to someone to have them edit that translation, and then they can kick it back. The powerful thing about this is it turns what is an arduous process of trying to recreate a website in an alternate language, and it turns what would have been like copy all the text, put it into a Word document, send it to a translator, translate everything, translator sends it back to you, then you have to build out a new website. It turns that process, which could be a 2-3 week process, into what's something that could take just a couple hours. And very easily done on our platform. And the point to click, or that click to translate feature that Sophie showed, is really powerful.
I agree. Yeah, this is a great tool.
Yeah, can you show like where they, like when they're building their page, like where that's at on the back end of the platform?
Yeah, let's actually go back here. So we do have a back portal on every resident facing page. Might take a second to load, and I may have to sign in, but we'll get there.
Yeah, no worries at all. While this is loading up here, we can talk about the fact that like what we did with that, or what Rancho Cucamonga did, was they didn't create 2 specific project pages. They basically created one in English, got it to look and feel the way that they liked, and then they were able to replicate that into, in this case, it looks like they created one into Spanish, and you can see that there. And so they have a slightly different URL. So then they created that URL destination. What that means is that Spanish speakers have a specific destination. They no longer have to go to an English site and then use the Google Translate as their only option to engage with the content in the way that they prefer to engage with it. So really, really powerful. And there's certain communities that are licensing public input platform that every time they do something like this or do some kind of engagement, they offer 3 or more languages every time. Because they know they have a diverse community, and this is a way that they can show that they really do care what everyone has to say about, or everyone's feedback about the direction of the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I'll also mention too with this, when you're setting up this custom link, you're also adding anybody that goes to that link and interacts with that link into a specific segment. So we can also segment any of those viewers out in a Spanish speaking segment of our population, which is just really useful later on for like tailoring your reporting and kind of understanding the community as a whole. And we'll get into that in later sessions as well.
Yeah, it's a nice tease, Sophie, because I think the depth of our analytics by being able to do these types of segmenting is really, really powerful. And we're not going to do it today, but the analytics tool is fast. You can get data quickly, and it means that you don't have to, no more downloading spreadsheets and then trying to combine data. just to try to make sense of something. You can start understanding your data as you're gathering it without having to do any big downloads or big reporting or anything like that.
Yeah, it's great. So with that, I will stop sharing. That's all we have planned for this session.
That's excellent. Well, can we talk about what's coming up next? So a quick summary of what we talked about. Hey, you win a project or you're doing some kind of engagement effort. A lot of times it's about putting that data in front of or like telling the public what is going on, right? So like share that data. We're focusing on reach, right? So how do we make sure that we're mindful that we can actually get in front of people? Websites are an easy way to do that. Websites in multiple languages are a way to be mindful of our community. We can do that on Public Input. We showed that. We showed the translation feature. That is just part of reach, which I said this is the first episode of a 4-part series. What is coming up next for our next episode, Sophie?
We're going to dive into all the different and creative ways that you can start adding content on top of that project page. So question sets, surveys. So I think you mentioned some of those little sidebars where you can put an FAQ and like a timeline, basically.
Nice.
So yeah, lots of different exciting stuff coming up.
Perfect. Well, you know where to find us. We're going to be here again on Friday at 1 o'clock. We hope you'll join us again. We're going to keep going through this journey, sharing best practices. I am going to put a link here so you know how to contact us. You can reach us by going to, you can email me. I'm Michael@publicinput.com. And Sophie, what is your email address?
I am Sophie, SOPHIE @publicinput.com. Simple.
Excellent. And I will put that in the chat. What else do we have? I've got a couple of things I want to make sure that we cover. That is it. If anybody has any questions, you can put them in the chat. We'll hang out here for just a moment. We'll probably go off live, but we will be here answering your questions on the chat. And if that is all, we'll go ahead and sign off here today. And we'll be wishing you all successful engagements until we meet again. And we hope to see you here next week.
Thanks, everyone.